1/3 of our lives is potentially spent dreaming. Your waking life is feeding your dream life. That's a solar flare from your brain.
Why do you keep forgetting your dreams? You wake up with the faint sense that something happened, something important, but the details slip through your fingers like mist. You try to hold on to an image, a face, a message, but it's gone. The moment your eyes open, the dream collapses like it never existed. And yet, for a brief second, it felt real. More real than waking life itself. The disconnection between two worlds. This isn't just forgetfulness. It's a symptom of something deeper. Dreams are not just random firings of the brain or leftover thoughts from the day. For thousands of years, across cultures, mystics and philosophers have believed that dreams are the language of the soul. The ancient Egyptians viewed dreams as divine communication. The Greeks believed in oneiros, dream spirits that passed messages from the gods. Indigenous shamans saw dreams as journeys into other realms, places where healing, prophecy and soul retrieval could happen. But here in the modern world, we've lost that connection. We don't listen to dreams anymore. We dismiss them as weird or meaningless. We treat them like digital noise, odd, fragmented, not worth interpreting. And in doing so, we silence one of the deepest, most instinctive forms of spiritual communication we have. But forgetting your dreams isn't just cultural, it's energetic. It's a symptom that your waking self and your dreaming self are disconnected. There's a spiritual fracture between the conscious and the subconscious. In ancient teachings, the dream world was considered a bridge, a space between the physical realm and the non-physical dimensions. In sleep, the body rests but the soul travels. Some traditions call this astral projection. Others call it soul work. Whatever you name it, the idea is the same. When you sleep, a deeper part of you explores places beyond the veil. Places where memory, trauma, truth and potential all live side by side. But here's the dark part. Not everyone is supposed to remember where they've gone. In fact, forgetting may be engineered. You're surrounded by more noise than any other time in history. Constant scrolling, flashing screens, emotional triggers, dopamine loops. Your nervous system is overwhelmed, your attention span is fractured, and your mind is rarely still. When you finally do fall asleep, your consciousness is so clouded that your dreams have to scream just to be heard. Most can't even make it through. They're blocked at the gate, buried under stress, overstimulation, and psychic debris. In spiritual terms, your dream recall is clouded by static. Every emotional wound you haven't dealt with creates noise. Every lie you believe about yourself becomes a distortion. Every time you override your intuition in waking life, you close a door that your dreams try to reopen at night. That's why so many people forget their dreams, not because they didn't dream, but because their signal was too weak to survive the return. And here's something even more subtle. Certain dreams are deliberately hidden from you, because you're not ready. Your dreams contain truths your conscious mind might not yet accept. They hold pieces of your soul story, clues, warnings, revelations that could completely shift how you see the world. But if your inner foundation isn't strong enough, those truths could destabilize you instead of awaken you. So the dreams stay just out of reach, waiting for the day when your spirit is ready to remember. The mystics would say this is grace, not punishment, a form of spiritual protection. Your subconscious never gives you more than you're ready to integrate, but it doesn't mean you're meant to stay in the dark. The path of remembering begins with one thing: reverence. You must treat dreams as sacred again. Not as illusions, not as jokes, but as guidance. Because when you treat something as sacred, you open a channel. You train your mind to listen. You shift from consuming reality to receiving it. That shift, small as it seems, is what begins to repair the bridge between your conscious self and your dreaming self. And once that bridge is rebuilt, something incredible happens. The veil begins to thin. You start waking up in the middle of a dream and knowing it. You begin to recognize symbols. You feel familiar places you've never seen. You hear messages that sound like your own voice, but wiser, deeper. You realize that sleep isn't unconsciousness, it's access. But until then, many people stay disconnected. Why? Because remembering requires stillness. It requires slowing down. It requires letting go of the chaos that drowns out the whisper of your soul. And most of all, it requires the courage to face what your dreams might reveal about your fears, your patterns, your past lives, your purpose. That kind of insight is powerful, but it's also disruptive. That's why it's easier to forget. But that doesn't mean you should, because within the dream lies the map to healing, to awakening, to remembering what this life is really about. The secret layers of the dream realms. What if your dreams aren't random at all, but organized, deliberate, and layered like a map you've never been taught how to read? You see, when most people sleep, they assume their mind simply spins stories, but there's a reason some dreams feel more real than waking life, why others feel like memories that didn't happen in this timeline, and why some seem like you're being tested or watched. That's because not all dreams come from the same layer. You're not dreaming in one dimension, you're moving through several. Let's begin with the most common level, the echo layer. This is the shallowest space where your brain replays your recent experiences, thoughts, worries, and interactions. It's the layer closest to the surface of the subconscious. Most dreams that happen here are noisy, full of symbols you barely notice in waking life. Faces from TV, thoughts you suppressed, flashes of stress from earlier in the day. This layer is like clutter on the top shelf. You access it easily, but it holds the least meaning. That's why these dreams are so easily forgotten. They serve no deep purpose, no soul growth. They're the mind's attempt to clean itself. They flush out emotional residue, but beneath that, beneath the noise, is where the true dreaming begins. The next layer is the symbolic realm. Here, dreams stop repeating events and start expressing meanings. You won't see your boss yelling at you again. Instead, you might find yourself trapped in a burning house, or wandering through an airport with no ticket. These are the dreams that stay with you. You wake up feeling heavy, moved, or disturbed. That's because you just touched your inner myth. Your dream showed you a feeling that you haven't let yourself feel while awake. Jung called this level the language of archetypes, where your subconscious starts painting with symbols rather than facts. You begin to dream in patterns, not events. You might see snakes, doorways, children, oceans, mirrors. These are not coincidences, they're keys. Each symbol is a message coded in your soul's oldest language. A snake might not mean fear, but transformation. A locked door might not mean confinement, but a hidden potential you haven't yet opened. But many people never make it here consciously. Their dreams dissolve the moment they wake because their waking life is not connected to their inner language. When your waking mind ignores symbols all day, it doesn't recognize them at night, so the dream comes and disappears. Below that realm, deeper still, is the threshold space. This is where things get strange. You might meet beings you don't recognize, but who recognize you. You might travel places that don't exist on Earth. You might witness lives that aren't yours but feel deeply familiar. This is where time begins to distort, where you wake up with the sense that you were gone for much longer than you actually slept. This is where soul memory begins to leak through. Some call this the astral realm. Others call it the dream time, the dimension of ancestors, the veil. It doesn't matter what name you give it. What matters is that here, your soul is learning. Some dreams in this layer are tests, others are messages. Some are echoes from past lives or fragments from alternate realities. And some are designed to wake you up. These are the dreams that feel like warnings or prophecies. The ones that show you what will happen if you don't change course. The ones that give you choices. The ones that repeat again and again until you listen. But this layer doesn't open for everyone, or all the time. You enter it when your spirit is ready, and when your body is clear enough to handle the intensity of what's shown. If your energy field is too clouded by addiction, fear, emotional denial, or constant stimulation, these realms will stay hidden. You will forget what you saw the moment your ego returns to control. The final layer, the rarest, is what some mystics call the blueprint plane. This is the space beyond symbols. It's not a dream about something, it's a direct experience of truth. You might not even remember what you saw here. It might come back to you as a feeling of awe, a sense that everything is connected, a sudden certainty that your life has purpose. It may feel like you touched something holy, something vast, something far beyond words. Most people never access this consciously. Not because they're unworthy, but because they're not quiet enough. This layer is silent. It doesn't flash images or shout warnings. It doesn't scare or entertain. It just is. And if you've ever had a dream where everything was made of light, or where you became part of the stars or merged into a presence greater than yourself, you may have briefly touched it. But the key to all these layers, and to remembering them, is presence. Not the kind you fake in meditation, but real, embodied presence. The kind of presence that begins before sleep. The kind that starts with asking yourself, do I actually want to hear the truth tonight? Because the reason you forget your dreams isn't always about noise. Sometimes it's about resistance. You may not remember your dream because some part of you chose not to. Not because you're weak, but because you're afraid. Afraid of what your dreams might show. Afraid they'll change you. And they will. But only if you're willing to remember. Trauma, resistance, and the dreaming blindfold. What if forgetting your dreams isn't a glitch, but a form of protection? By now, you understand that dreams are layered, symbolic, and often otherworldly. But there's another reason so many people wake up with nothing but a blank slate. It's not just modern overstimulation or energetic noise. It's because your subconscious, in its infinite wisdom, sometimes withholds the dream. Why? Because you're not ready to remember it. Not yet. Let's begin with the uncomfortable truth. Trauma creates blind spots. The mind is incredibly skilled at hiding what it thinks will break you. And this doesn't only apply to waking memory, it extends to the dream world too. If you carry unresolved emotional wounds, especially those from early life or deep past events, your dreams may try to speak to you about them. But if your conscious mind is still guarding those doors tightly shut, the dream won't register, it won't stick. You may get fragments, shadows, echoes, or quick flashes, but the full picture fades. This isn't failure, it's self-protection. Think of the subconscious as a vast ocean. If the water is too turbulent, it won't reflect the sky. Your conscious mind, like the surface, needs stillness before it can truly absorb what lies beneath. That's why trauma survivors often report a deep sense of dreamlessness. Their nervous systems are locked in survival mode. And the nervous system does not prioritize symbolism or mystery. It prioritizes safety. It blocks the bridge between the realms, so healing becomes the key to remembering. The more you meet your wounds, not avoid them, but meet them, the more your dreams begin to return. They begin to trust you again. They understand that you will no longer run, that you can hold what they show you, and make no mistake, your dreams do test you. They speak the truth before you're ready to hear it. They surface patterns you didn't want to admit. They mirror back the part of you that pretends everything's fine when your soul knows it isn't. This is why many people become dream blind, because remembering your dreams often means confronting your deepest emotions: shame, guilt, repression, grief. And these emotions are not easily faced at 7 a.m. before work, so instead, we push them down, again and again, until even the dream world quiets down out of exhaustion. But the dream world doesn't leave you, it waits. And when the time is right, when the healing begins, your memory starts to stretch. You wake up with clearer images, emotions you can't explain, scenes that feel charged but distant. These are not just memories returning, they are trust returning. There's another reason many forget their dreams, because of psychic dissonance. This happens when the truth you experience in the dream completely contradicts what you believe in your waking life. Imagine dreaming of a past life and waking up in a worldview that denies reincarnation, or speaking with a dead loved one in a way that shakes your religious foundation. The subconscious, to protect the ego, blurs the edges of those dreams, or erases them altogether. This is why spiritual awakening often comes with an increase in vivid dreams, because as your conscious beliefs begin to expand, the bridge between the waking self and the dreaming self becomes stronger. There's no longer a battle at the border, there's integration. The subconscious no longer fears being rejected, it knows you will listen. But there's one more factor, one that few people talk about, and that is dream interference. Yes, interference. Some traditions believe that not all forgetting is internal. There are forces, energetic or spiritual, that seek to keep humanity asleep. Forces that benefit from your disconnection, your confusion, your amnesia. And they don't need to erase your dreams completely. All they need to do is weaken the signal. Keep you so busy, so drained, so distracted that by the time you sleep your soul is too tired to journey. Or if it does, you return with no energy left to recall. This is why spiritual hygiene matters. If you carry heavy emotional cords, unresolved anger, envy, or energy absorbed from others, your inner channel is clogged. You might fall asleep, but you won't travel deeply. You'll stay stuck in surface loops, replaying the day's noise instead of receiving the soul's messages. You'll wake up remembering nothing because you were never truly there in the dream to begin with. The key is to clear space, energetically, mentally, emotionally. Begin by treating your sleep as sacred, not just as rest, but as a ritual. Prepare your space, dim your lights early, avoid blue light, breathe deeply before sleep, write in a journal, set an intention, ask a question, welcome guidance, and most importantly, mean it. When you give the dream world reverence, it responds. You will not receive what you do not respect, and when you do start remembering, even in fragments, write them down. Even if they don't make sense, even if they fade. The act of writing is not just about memory, it's about anchoring. You're showing your subconscious that you are present, awake, and willing to listen. And once the subconscious knows it is being heard, it opens more freely. When the dream remembers you first. What if it's not just you remembering your dreams, but your dreams remembering you? There comes a moment in the life of every seeker where something subtle yet life-altering begins to happen. You find yourself waking up not only with fragments of a dream, but with a strange sense of déjà vu, like you've been there before, not just once, but many times. The place in your dream has a feeling, a texture, even a memory. The people you meet in it feel familiar, even if you don't know their names. The moment your eyes open, you're left with the odd sensation that the dream continued a story that had already been unfolding, with or without your awareness. This is when your dreams begin to remember you. You see, the subconscious is not bound by linear time. It doesn't function like the waking mind, moving from event to event in a straight line. It operates in cycles, in echoes, in spirals. That means the dream you had last night could be linked to one you had 5 years ago, and the dream you'll have tomorrow may already be forming based on patterns you've not yet noticed. When you begin to tap into this dimension of the dream world, you're no longer just observing, you're participating. Many ancient cultures understood dreams not as random mental events, but as journeys of the soul. In Aboriginal Australian belief systems, there's the concept of the dreaming, a space that exists beyond time, where the ancestors, the laws of nature, and the essence of reality all reside. The idea wasn't that you go there to imagine something, but that you go there to remember what's always been true. And this is where most people get dreams wrong. It's not that your dreams are fiction, it's that your waking life has amnesia. When you dream of a forest that feels like home, of a city made of light, of a teacher whose face you can never quite recall, you may not be inventing anything at all. You may be returning to a level of consciousness that your soul has visited long before this physical incarnation. You may even be continuing a task, a purpose, a mission that you began elsewhere. This is why some dreams are so hard to shake, why you wake up disoriented, why certain symbols haunt you even if you don't understand them. Because they didn't originate in your current life. They're remembered, not imagined. Your mind tries to make sense of it in familiar terms, but your spirit knows the truth. It's not new, it's old, and it wants to be known again. When dreams remember you, they start to speak differently. You'll notice recurring places. Not generic settings like my childhood home, but detailed locations that feel too specific to be random. A staircase made of blue stone, a house with no walls but endless rooms, a shore with black sand and violet sky. These are not dream props. These are energetic structures in your inner world, as real as anything physical. They are part of what some call the personal astral plane, the psychic territory your consciousness builds and returns to repeatedly across lifetimes. You might begin to meet recurring characters, guides, figures, or other beings who speak not with human language, but with feeling, symbol, or shared knowing. They don't reintroduce themselves every time, they simply continue the dialogue. That's because on the other side of sleep they haven't forgotten. They've been waiting, and this is where it gets deeper. Sometimes the version of you that they're speaking to is not the you you think you are. Not the you with a job, a name, a history, but a version of you that is older, wiser, not bound to this body. In these dreams, you might feel more confident, more clear, more awake. You might say or do things that surprise you, things that feel more true than anything you've done in waking life. This is the high self, the aspect of your consciousness that holds the bigger picture. When you experience these dreams, you're not just dreaming, you're remembering what it feels like to be whole. But most people rush past this. They wake up, reach for their phone, step into routine, and forget. Not just the dream, but the part of themselves that woke up for a moment inside it. They tell themselves it was just a dream and return to forgetting. Here's the truth. If you begin to build a relationship with your dream world, it will respond. If you treat it like an old friend, not a fleeting flicker, it will open doors, and those doors lead to realms that don't just give you meaning. They change your life. You'll start receiving answers to questions you never voiced. You'll make connections between dream messages and waking decisions. You'll see your life mirrored in symbols you once ignored. And as your awareness deepens, the dream will meet you halfway. It will become more vivid, more layered, more alive. You may even begin to wake up inside the dream and realize that your consciousness can move, choose, and create even there. This is not fantasy. This is the forgotten language of the soul. Lucid access and the living language of dreams. Have you ever realized you were dreaming while still in the dream? That sudden moment when you question everything, the walls, the sky, even your own body, and sense that you're not quite bound by the rules of waking life? That is the threshold of lucid dreaming, and once you cross it consciously, everything changes. Lucid dreaming is not just about controlling the dream, as popular culture often portrays. It's not about flying for fun or conjuring fantasy. At its core, it's about meeting yourself in your own mind. And more than that, it's about waking up within the place you've always thought was a blur. Once you're aware in the dream, the forgetting begins to dissolve. This level of awareness reveals something many never consider. The dream world has its own intelligence. It's not random, and it's not silent. It speaks in a living language, a language not of words, but of symbols, emotions, and presence. In this space, your subconscious becomes both mirror and mentor. It shows you what you refuse to see. It speaks in images that bypass your logic and go straight to your core. But why does becoming lucid matter in the journey of remembering? Because it means you're no longer a passive observer of your inner world. You become an active participant. You can begin to ask questions. You can explore places your waking mind can't explain. You can approach the shadow, the forgotten, the mystical, and not just watch, but interact. For many, this is where the real healing starts. Take, for example, someone struggling with unresolved grief. In a lucid dream, they may find themselves in a familiar space, and suddenly a lost loved one appears. But instead of the dream ending in fragments, they remain aware. They stay present. They ask questions. They feel the emotion. Sometimes, what is said or shared in that moment has more lasting peace than years of surface-level thought in waking life. Or consider a person facing a crossroads. They keep dreaming of a door they never open, or a road they never walk down. Once lucid, they realize they can open the door. They can step onto the road. What they find there may be a message from their deeper self, or an image that reveals what they truly desire, free from ego, fear, or the expectations of others. Lucid awareness brings back power to the dreamer, but it also brings responsibility, because once you know the dream can speak and you can listen, you can't unknow it. Ignoring your dreams becomes a form of self-abandonment, and more than that, you begin to realize that dreams have always been the place where your subconscious, and perhaps something even greater, has been patiently waiting for your attention. So how do you step into this space intentionally? It begins with your intention before you sleep. Not just a vague wish to dream, but a focused decision to stay aware. You might repeat a phrase in your mind. Tonight, I will remember. Or, I am aware, even as I sleep. You might practice visualization, imagining yourself walking into your dream as if stepping into a room you already know. These small rituals begin to train your subconscious that dreaming matters, and it responds accordingly. Then there's the practice of reality checks during the day. Because dreams mimic waking life so well, we often don't question them. But if you get into the habit of questioning this reality, asking yourself if you are dreaming while awake, you'll start doing the same within the dream. And when you do, awareness dawns. But perhaps the most overlooked element is emotional openness. The more you're willing to face your feelings in waking life, the more honest you are with yourself, the more clearly your dreams will come through. Lucid dreaming isn't just a technique, it's a side effect of deep inner listening. And that listening is what returns your memory. The more you care for your dreams, the more they care for you. As you journal, reflect, and bring curiosity instead of judgment, your subconscious starts to trust you again. It stops hiding. The fog lifts, the voices return, the images sharpen. You'll also begin to notice what Carl Jung called archetypes, those timeless, universal symbols that appear across cultures and history. You might meet the wise old woman, the trickster, the child, the warrior. These aren't just characters, they are fragments of you, parts of your psyche made visible. When you engage with them in a lucid dream, it's like entering a sacred theatre where your soul is both actor and audience. But the most mysterious thing happens when you no longer feel like the dream is just yours. You begin to feel like you're entering a shared space, something older, deeper, connected to a collective mind. The dreams feel larger than life. You see faces you've never met. You visit places not on this earth. You receive wisdom that feels timeless. This is the crossing point, where the personal and the cosmic begin to blur. And from this point on, forgetting becomes nearly impossible. The dreams anchor into your being. You don't remember them the way you remember facts. You carry them, like music in your bones. Dreams that shift reality, yes, yours too. There is a moment in every dreamer's journey where they begin to understand something revolutionary. Dreams aren't just reflections, they're instructions. Not in the rigid rule-based sense we're used to, but in the way a seed knows how to bloom, or a river knows how to find the ocean. Dreams carry codes, not only for our personal healing, but for our evolution. When you start to remember your dreams consistently, patterns begin to emerge. A repeated image, a recurring voice, a strange sensation that echoes into your waking day. These aren't random leftovers from your brain. They are signals, like beacons cutting through fog, and the moment you start decoding those signals, your waking life begins to bend toward that insight. This is where most people stop, right at the threshold of magic. They say, it's just a dream, and dismiss what they've seen. But the subconscious doesn't play games for entertainment. It doesn't waste time building impossible cities or sending cryptic messengers for fun. It's trying to show you something your conscious mind has refused to see, or has been too distracted to notice. Let's say you've been stuck. Maybe it's a relationship, a job, or just a low, unshakable feeling that something isn't right. You talk about it. You journal. You even meditate. But nothing moves. Then one night, in a dream, you're running, but your legs won't move. Or you're trying to speak, but no sound comes out. At first glance, it's just a frustrating dream. But look again, it's a mirror. It's showing you how you're silencing yourself, how your energy is blocked, how you're choosing paralysis over power. And here's the key. When you act on the dream, not just analyze it, you begin to shift your entire field. The ancient Egyptians believed dreams were prophecies, not in the fortune-telling sense, but as instructions from the soul. You weren't meant to just reflect on them, but to live them, respond to them, integrate them into your choices. In fact, many initiates in mystery schools were trained to sleep in sacred temples, what they called dream incubation, to receive solutions from the divine. We may not sleep in temples today, but your bed is still an altar, and what happens there is still sacred. When you wake up from a dream that unsettles you, pay attention. It is disrupting the surface to get to your truth. When you wake up from a dream that soothes you, receive it. That was your soul comforting your nervous system. And when you wake up from a dream that shows you a different version of yourself, one that is bold, fearless, whole, understand. That version isn't fantasy. That version is your template. The dream is not saying, look what you could be. It's saying, look who you already are when you remove the masks. Once you begin to engage with dreams this way, you'll notice that your waking life starts to organize itself differently. Conversations will change. People will fall away. New opportunities will appear, but not in a flashy external way. They appear within first. A new idea, a sudden clarity, the courage to say something you've avoided. the grace to release something you've outgrown. These are not coincidences. They are aftershocks of your dream world stirring. This is also when synchronicity begins to accelerate. You'll read a word that appeared in your dream. A stranger will mention something eerily familiar. A song will play with lyrics that mirror the message you were given while asleep. This isn't just poetic. It's the merging of dream time and waking time, what some call a thin veil moment, where inner and outer worlds align. But there's a warning here too. If you continue to ignore your dreams, they may begin to turn up the volume. Nightmares, sleeplessness, anxiety upon waking. These can be signs that your subconscious is begging for your attention. Not to scare you, but to shake you awake. The darkness is not trying to harm you. It's trying to introduce you to yourself. That's the true dark reason most forget their dreams. Not because they're unworthy or incapable, but because remembering requires courage. It takes guts to look at yourself in metaphor, to accept your soul when it wears a costume, to take seriously the messages that arrive in riddles and symbols. It's easier to stay distracted, easier to say, it's nothing. But when you do that, you cut yourself off from the most ancient and intimate guidance system you have. And make no mistake, your dreams are always responding to you. You want clarity? They'll bring a mirror. You want healing? They'll open the wound. You want growth? They'll offer a challenge. You want truth? They'll take away what's false. The question is, will you take it seriously enough to act? Dreams are the door to the soul's memory. There is a final truth most people never arrive at, not because it is hidden, but because it requires stillness, patience, and deep honesty. The truth is this: your dreams are not just fragments of your imagination, nor are they illusions stitched together by leftover thoughts. Your dreams are reminders. They are how your soul tries to bring you back to who you truly are. And this is why remembering them becomes difficult, because remembering your dreams also means remembering yourself, not your personality, not your name or your story. But the part of you that has always been watching, the part that knows you've lived many lives, learned many lessons, and chosen to come here again, for reasons your logical mind may never fully understand. This is why dream work is sacred, not in a mystical, unreachable way, but in the most grounded way possible. Because when you begin to treat your dreams as sacred, you begin to treat yourself as sacred. And you start to realize that every night as your body rests, your consciousness is moving, traveling, searching, listening, healing, and sometimes even remembering things that happened before you were ever born. Have you ever had a dream that felt ancient? One that had no connection to your current life but stirred something deep in your chest? A familiarity you couldn't explain? These are not accidents. These are soul memories. They rise when you're ready, when your inner world is quiet enough to hear them. And the more you engage with your dreams intentionally, the more these fragments begin to gather, like scattered stars coming back into constellation. What we call the dream world is not separate from our waking world. It is a dimension we visit often, a space that exists within us and beyond us. In many ancient traditions, especially among Tibetan mystics, native shamans and African spiritualists, this space is not considered unreal. In fact, it's considered more real than the waking world because it is less filtered, less manipulated, and more direct. The Sufis believed that dreams were the place where the soul met with divine instruction. Not metaphorically, but literally. A space of encounter with what they called the hidden realms. Carl Jung described this as the collective unconscious, where dreams connect not only to our personal psyche, but to the stories, fears, and symbols humanity has always shared. And modern neuroscience, though still catching up, agrees on something vital. During REM sleep, the brain activates areas linked to emotion, memory, intuition, and meaning-making. We're not simply processing static data. We're connecting across timelines, through sensations into spaces that defy physical laws. So why do you forget your dreams? Because to remember them is to awaken, not just during sleep, but in life. And not everyone is ready for that. Many are still caught in distractions, pulled by noise, addicted to certainty, afraid to feel. But if you've read this far, something in you is already awakening. Something already senses that your dreams are trying to lead you somewhere. And it's not just toward information, it's toward integration. This is where dream practice becomes transformative. When you wake in the morning, resist the urge to move too quickly. Stay in the stillness. Let your memory stretch. Ask, what did I feel? What did I see? Sometimes the dream won't come in full. You might remember just a colour, a single word, a vague sensation. That's enough. Write it down, speak it aloud, honour it. Then watch how, over time, the dreams begin to speak louder. They begin to trust you. They know you're listening now. You may also begin to dream in sequences, as if a story is unfolding night after night. You may return to familiar landscapes, encounter the same guide, or continue a journey left unfinished in the night before. These are not coincidences. This is the architecture of your soul showing you the way forward. You might also begin to experience healing dreams. In these, you're given tools. You may receive a message from a figure you love. You may feel energy flowing in your body. Some people report spontaneous physical or emotional healing after such dreams. This is because the subconscious, when listened to deeply, has the ability to initiate real change. It doesn't just reflect, it corrects, it recalibrates, it clears space for transformation. Even the darkest dreams, the ones that haunt you, carry medicine. Nightmares are not punishments. They are loud messengers. They often show up when you've been ignoring pain, when trauma is trying to release itself, or when your path has strayed from your deeper knowing. If you're brave enough to face them, to listen instead of escape, you'll find that even the monsters have messages. And then there's the most mysterious layer, the dreams that feel like visitations, from loved ones who've passed, from unborn children, from versions of yourself that feel ancient or wise or strangely familiar. These moments often leave you shaken but also comforted. They remind you that time is not as linear as we believe, that you are not alone, that your soul is in communication with other souls, even now, even while your body sleeps. This is the real reason remembering dreams matters, because they are not just stories. They are the language of your soul, the whispers of your unconscious, and perhaps even echoes from dimensions we have yet to name. They hold pieces of you that no book can teach and no teacher can provide. To remember your dreams is to recover yourself. To take your dreams seriously is to reclaim your own wisdom. And to follow your dreams, day after day, night after night, is to live in harmony with what is most real inside you. Not everyone will understand this path, that's okay. Not everyone needs to. But you've already started listening, and once that door opens, it never truly closes again. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, feel free to subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching.